If you are watching this alone, good. Because what I'm about to tell you cannot be heard by the crowd. They wouldn't understand. Worse, they would hate you for understanding it. This is a message from a man who spent years in exile. Tortured. Abandoned. Stripped of everything. His name was Niccolò Machiavelli. And in his isolation, he discovered something that terrifies the masses. The secret that solitude is not a curse. It's a forge. Right now, you might be feeling it. That ache. That voice whispering in the darkness. Why am I alone? What's wrong with me? Everyone else has someone. Society has taught you that solitude is failure. That if you're alone, you're broken. Unwanted. Less than. The culture screams at you through every movie, every advertisement, every social media post. Happiness means connection. Success means popularity. Value means being wanted by others. And if you're sitting here in silence, watching this alone, then something must be fundamentally wrong with you. But what if everything they taught you was a lie? What if your solitude isn't a symptom of weakness but a sign that you're about to become dangerous? Florence, 1513. Niccolò Machiavelli has lost everything. His political career, destroyed in a single night. His reputation, ruined by enemies who now control the city. His body, broken on the torture rack. 6 drops on the strappado, shoulders dislocating, nerves screaming. His future, reduced to exile on a small farm outside the city walls. Everything he built, everything he was, gone. He sits alone in a farmhouse, forgotten by the world that once needed him. Every night, he performs a ritual. He removes his mud-stained clothes from working the land. He dresses in his finest robes, the ones he wore when he served in the halls of power. He lights candles in his study. And there, in complete solitude, he communes with the dead. The ancient Romans. Livy. Tacitus. Caesar. Through their books, he speaks with them. Asks them questions. They answer him from across the centuries. He writes later that he is not ashamed to speak with them and ask the reason for their actions, and they in their kindness answer him. In his isolation, something alchemical happens. The man who had been broken forges a weapon that will outlive empires. The Prince. A book so dangerous, so revealing of the machinery of power, that it will be banned, burned, and feared for 500 years. He didn't write it because he had companionship. He wrote it because he didn't. The solitude wasn't his weakness. It was his laboratory. Humans are herd animals. We evolved in tribes. Safety in numbers. Consensus equals survival. To be cast out from the tribe was a death sentence. Isolation meant predation, starvation, extinction. This is hardwired into your brain. Social rejection activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. Your body cannot distinguish between a broken bone and a broken heart. The pain is identical. But here's what they don't tell you. The herd doesn't just fear being alone. The herd fears those who can be alone. Because the person who doesn't need the crowd cannot be controlled by the crowd. This is why society pathologizes solitude. Calls you antisocial. Weird. Broken. A loner. Dangerous. Every label designed to shame you back into the herd. Because if you're comfortable alone, you don't need their validation. Their approval. Their rules. And that makes you ungovernable. Your independence exposes their dependence. Your ability to stand alone reveals their inability to stand alone. And people hate mirrors that show them truths they're not ready to face. But solitude is not monolithic. There are 2 types. The first is the coffin. Fear-based isolation. The wound. You're alone because you're afraid of rejection. Driven by shame. Scrolling endlessly through other people's lives, paralyzed by comparison. Passive consumption. Binging shows. numbing the pain. It feels like drowning. Feeds on self-pity. Drains your energy. Your identity becomes victim. This is the solitude of the defeated. Isolated but not independent. Alone but desperate for rescue. This is the solitude society wants you to experience because it keeps you weak, desperate, consuming, controllable. The second type is the forge. Chosen isolation. Strategic withdrawal. You're alone because you chose it deliberately. Driven by purpose. Active creation. Writing. Building. Studying. Training. It feels like focus. Feeds on discipline. Generates energy. Your identity becomes sovereign. This is Machiavelli's solitude. Newton invented calculus during plague isolation. Dostoevsky wrote in exile. Marcus Aurelius wrote Meditations alone on military campaign. Buddha achieved enlightenment alone under a tree. In the forge, solitude becomes strategic. You're not running from the world. You're preparing to dominate it. So how do you transmute loneliness from wound to weapon? The first step is acceptance. Stop fighting the solitude. Stop seeing it as temporary. Stop waiting to be rescued. Machiavelli wrote that men are so simple and so subject to present necessities that he who seeks to deceive will always find someone who will allow himself to be deceived. Stop deceiving yourself that this is just a phase. This is your reality. Accept it. Second, severance. Cut the phantom connections. The scrolling. The orbiting. The digital ghosts of intimacy. Delete the apps that make you feel connected but leave you empty. Stop hate watching people who hurt you. End the one-sided relationships you're clinging to. Strategic severance. The deliberate amputation of energy drains disguised as relationships. If they wanted you, they'd choose you. They don't. Accept it. Move on. Third, ritual. Machiavelli understood that solitude without structure is chaos. Create a sacred practice that transforms empty time into power cultivation. Morning pages, 3 pages of raw thought. Physical training, the body as temple. Deep reading, ancient texts, philosophy, strategy. Creative work, writing, building, creating. Meditation, confronting the void. The ritual tells your brain this isolation is intentional. This solitude is sacred. Fourth, weaponization. Use the silence to build what the noise prevented. While they're seeking validation on social media, numbing with consumption, trading depth for breadth, drowning in shallow connections, you're building skills that compound. Developing dangerous competence. Creating work that matters. Becoming unavoidable. Your solitude is their disadvantage. Their distraction is your edge. The crowd is noise. Opinions. Judgments. Expectations. All pulling you in different directions. In solitude, the noise stops. And you can finally hear yourself. Machiavelli wrote that everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are. In isolation, you stop performing. Stop managing your image. Stop being what others need you to be. You discover what you actually want, not what you're supposed to want. What you actually believe, not what's socially acceptable. Who you actually are, not who you've been performing as. This clarity will isolate you further. Because once you see clearly, you can't return to the comfortable delusions of the crowd. You become incompatible with people you used to fit with. This is not a bug. It's a feature. The crowd controls you through need. Your need for approval, belonging, validation, status, love. Every need is a lever they can pull. Every dependency is a vulnerability they can exploit. But in solitude, you learn to provide for yourself. Emotional regulation, you become your own therapist. Entertainment, you become interesting to yourself. Validation, you become your own judge. purpose, you generate meaning internally. When you can walk away from anything, any person, any situation, any opportunity, without desperation, you become unmanipulatable. And that is power. The average person spends 2.5 hours per day on social media. 3+ hours watching streaming content. Countless hours maintaining shallow relationships. Over a year, that's over 2,000 hours of potential mastery wasted. You, in solitude, have those hours back. What can you do with 2,000 hours? Master a language. Build a business. Write a book. Develop elite-level skill. Transform your body. Study the classics. Become formidable. While they're scrolling, you're building. While they're performing for validation, you're accumulating dangerous competence. The crowd is always performing. Always visible. Always announcing their moves. They broadcast their plans, their weaknesses, their fears, their next moves. You, in solitude, become opaque. Machiavelli's principle: never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception. The best strategy is the one your opponents never see coming. In solitude, you build without announcement. Move without telegraphing. Prepare while they assume you're broken. Strike when they think you're still wounded. When you finally emerge from your solitude, you're transformed. And they never saw it coming. Their last image of you was weak, isolated, defeated. Your return is strong, competent, dangerous. That gap between perception and reality is your advantage. But understand this. When you choose solitude for sovereignty, the crowd will not celebrate you. They will call you arrogant, antisocial, cold, selfish, thinking you're better than everyone. Why? Because your independence exposes their dependence. Your ability to stand alone reveals their inability to stand alone. And people hate mirrors. They will test you, mock your boundaries, punish your absence, weaponize your isolation, try to drag you back into drama. Your response? Nothing. Their need for your reaction is their addiction, not your responsibility. There will be moments, dark nights, where the solitude feels unbearable. Where you'll think, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I should just compromise. Maybe connection at any cost is better than this. This is the crisis point. The test. The fool returns to the crowd for comfort and loses years rebuilding what took days to destroy. The wise man endures the night because he knows the darkness is not permanent, but the compromise is. You didn't choose this path because it was easy. You chose it because the alternative, being controlled by need, was unbearable. You cannot go back. Once you've transmuted your solitude into sovereignty, you are fundamentally altered. You will lose your tolerance for shallow conversation. Your ability to pretend things matter that don't. Your patience for drama and manipulation. Your need for approval from those who don't understand you. Your old self dies. What emerges are standards that isolate you further. Clarity that alienates the comfortable. Strength that intimidates the weak. Independence that threatens the codependent. A new self. You will lose people. Not because you changed for the worse, but because you changed beyond their understanding. You will no longer be ordinary. And the ordinary will no longer understand you. Here's the paradox they'll never tell you. When you stop needing people, people start needing you. Because need repels. Sovereignty attracts. The desperate chase validation, seek approval, beg for attention, perform for love. Result. People run. The sovereign generates value, requires nothing, offers abundance, exists independently. Result. People gravitate. You become rare. And rarity creates value. Eventually you will return. Not because you need to, but because you choose to. But you return different. Before solitude, you were reactive, the world acted on you. Dependent, needed external validation. Scattered, pulled in all directions. Weak, desperate for connection. After solitude, you're proactive, you act on the world. Independent, generate validation internally. Focused, clear on purpose and direction. Strong, selective about connection. You engage the world from abundance, not desperation. The final stage of mastered solitude is this: the ability to be with people and the equal ability to be without them. You're no longer running from people in fear-based isolation or running to people in need-based connection. You exist in the rare third space. Complete freedom of choice. You can enjoy deep connection without losing yourself. Enjoy deep solitude without losing your humanity. Enter relationships without dependency. Exit relationships without devastation. So if you're watching this alone right now, you have a choice. See your solitude as punishment, wait to be rescued, consume to numb, decay in darkness, remain victim. Or see your solitude as opportunity, rescue yourself, create to transform, rise from the fire, become sovereign. Machiavelli spent years in exile. Tortured. Broken. Alone. But he chose the forge. And 500 years later, we're still reading his words. Still learning from his isolation. His solitude didn't break him. It forged him into something eternal. Your loneliness is not a bug. It's a feature. Your isolation is not a wound. It's a weapon. If you choose to see it. Machiavelli wrote, "Where the willingness is great, the difficulties cannot be great." The crowd will never understand. And that's exactly the point. Your solitude is your advantage. Use it.